said, let's bring in our all-star voter panel. Back with us now, Whitney Smith McIntosh, a school board mom from Iowa, very active in her hometown. We've got Ian Cruz from Washington, D.C. He's also a correspondent for Campus Reform. And Ram Soline back with us from Arizona. He had owned multiple small businesses. Great to see you all. First to you, Whitney, what's your reaction to last night's debate?
Oh, last night's debate was wonderful to watch, but I don't think it swayed any voters.
So it didn't sway any voters. So, Ian, do you feel the same?
Absolutely. I think all the headlines are correct in saying it was a bloodbath. I think you saw a lot of personal attacks. And I think that as a young voter, I wanted to see policy solutions. So I don't think the needle was really moved for me.
Got it. Now, Ram, here's the story. Do you think candidates went hard enough after Bidenomics? Did their economic policies come through? Because we've got this new market warning. Economists like Mohammed El-Arian is saying basically the 30-year mortgage rate could break to a record 8% next week. We haven't seen that rate since the late 90s and since 2000. I mean, this will undercut Bidenomics. U.S., that 10-year yield is breaking above 15, 16-year highs. We're in a debt spending crisis, Ron. We've got literally trillions in bonds pouring into the U.S. Treasury market.
To your question, I did not see enough about Bidenomics. I didn't hear enough about it. I heard a lot of talking points, but again, I didn't see enough of an attack on President Biden's economic policy, which I think is driving this country into the ground.
Driving it into the ground. And we've got former President Trump. He rallied with UAW workers in Detroit. Thousands turned out. Whitney, let's get your reaction to former President Trump. UAW Chief Sean Fain is slamming Trump, saying he undercut union jobs. Others are saying he's terrific. Let's watch President Trump here.
The only time Joe Biden has ever gotten his hands dirty is when he's taking cash from foreign countries, which is quite often, actually. But I will not allow, under any circumstances, the American automobile industry to die. I want it to thrive. Joe Biden claims to be the most pro-union president in history. Nonsense. Think of it. His entire career, just think of it. His entire career has been an act of economic treason and union destruction. He's destroyed unions, shipping millions of American jobs overseas while personally taking money from foreign nations hand over fist. For decades, you've watched rotten and crooked politicians like Biden treat American jobs as disposable and American workers as expendable. Everything on the line to fight for you. I've risked it all to defend the working class from the corrupt political class that has spent decades sucking the life, wealth, and blood out of this country.
Okay, Whitney, you got applause there. It sounded like he was getting sort of shouted at earlier in that sound montage. So, Whitney, when you heard former President Trump there, what did you hear? What's your reaction?
So he never lets a crisis go unanswered. He will always capitalize on a crisis in order to talk about how great he is and how bad the opponent is. I did like how he focused on Biden and not on any of the other candidates, but I was not impressed with what he said. He could have focused more on policies like we want everybody to do so that we know who to vote for.
Ian, what do you think?
I think President Trump made the right move last night. I think he went back to the voter base that got him elected in 2016. It was working class voters that shifted from the Democrats under Barack Obama to voting for Donald Trump in 2016. It's what won him Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And especially as President Biden leads into the labor vote, especially going on trips to Pennsylvania and to Michigan, like the aforementioned President Trump, he needs to fight for those voters in the general election. So I think it's smart to go and lobby their votes and get them on his team, especially he has a record of defending working class Americans. Take the USMCA. He fought back against NAFTA, and he brought back good paying jobs for American workers. So I think he really is the champion of American workers compared to President Biden. Okay,
we heard from Whitney and Ian. Ram, where do you come down?
I loved what he had to say. The thing about President Trump, and it's why I'm leaning heavily in his favor, is because he's a fighter. I watched the debates last night. I saw all of those 7 candidates up on that stage, and I just don't see them pushing back with the vigor and the spirit that he does.
Got it. Whitney Smith McIntosh, Ian Cruz, Ron Solene, you guys were terrific. We really appreciate you joining us 2 nights in a row. Really smart insights from you, all 3 of you. Good to have you on. We hope to see you soon.